Part 120. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1191. The first is the power system deduced by Lin Yi. It is very simple for them, and they can fully understand it in a few minutes. Secondly, they also began to understand the eternal nature. Although they cannot use it, the principles within it can be infinitely absorbed. There may be opportunities to build true life in the future. Remember the domain name of this website: Taiwan Novel Network. Rightward arrow. Time came to the second day in a blink of an eye. Zhao Hengxia opened the door of Lin Yi's room and walked in. The clown appears again. Lin Yi had recovered all his spiritual energy, and after hearing this, he rolled over from the bed. He looked at Zhao Hengxia. Where is it? Follow me. The two quickly went downstairs, and Paul Weir's car was already waiting there at the door. After the two got into the car, Paul Weir stepped on the accelerator and rushed onto the road. Zhao Hengxia is holding a tablet computer with a red dot and a blue dot on it. There is another line flashing between the blue dot and the red dot. They seem to represent blue light spots. Zhao Hengxia kept directing Paul Weir's driving route. The red light spot suddenly disappeared before the car was halfway through. Paul Weir and Zhao Hengxia both frowned. Just listen to Zhao Hengxia say, "We lost track. It took too long." A clown usually doesn't take more than 5 minutes to catch its prey. The maximum is only 10 minutes. If it exceeds the time, it is normal for you to lose track. We'll just have to wait until he shows up next time. Lin Yi nodded nonchalantly. Let's park the car directly in the city center. That way, if a clown shows up, we'll be able to get to the scene faster. Paul Weir nodded silently and drove the car to the central square of Strandan. Time passed quickly, and how many hours passed in the blink of an eye. Suddenly, the tablet lit up the map, with red and blue light spots appearing on it. This time, the distance between them was much shorter. Paul Weir woke up instantly and stepped on the accelerator to the bottom. And Zhao Hengxia said in a rapid voice, "The road on the left." The jeep rushed out in an instant, and Lin Yi stared at the tablet, calculating their time. They could arrive at the scene in 4 minutes at most, feeling slightly relieved. 4 minutes had just arrived and they were already parked outside an alley. It was dark inside, and a figure was walking out of it. The figure was a dark-skinned boy, who looked about 17 or 18 years old. He was swaying, wearing headphones, and seemed very happy. He didn't see a clown in green clothes appear in the shadows deep behind him. Lin Yi did not get out of the car at this time, but just looked quietly into the depths of the alley. The clown slowly stretched out a hand and put it on the black-skinned boy. The black-skinned boy stiffened, turned around and looked behind him. His pupils contracted, and boundless fear arose from the bottom of his heart. The next moment, his body went limp and fell to the ground. The clown's hands with 3 sharp nails had already lifted him up. Then, he turned around and walked deeper into the shadow alley, paying no attention to the jeep outside the alley. Lin Yi had already rushed out, following closely behind him. The clown didn't notice Lin Yi's following at all and continued walking forward. Lin Yi's eyes shone with the light of his true destiny. He saw the clown holding the person in his hand and jumping into a dark well in the alley. Lin Yi chased after him closely. When he got here, he also saw a well with a looming hole in it. Without any hesitation, he jumped down. The boundless power of his true destiny covered him, passing through a wonderful barrier. When he appeared again, he had arrived in a huge underground passage. This passage is made of soil and tree roots, with a height of more than 7 meters. I looked around and saw that it was very empty and there was nothing there. Lin Yi frowned slightly. The place where we came in was the same as the clown, but it's different when we get here. Thinking of this, he moved forward slowly. He needed to be very careful here and try not to waste his strength. The next thing he has to do is to carefully observe the clown and observe the changes in the clown throughout the hunting process. Then verify your logical guess. It is an iron rule that strange events cannot be destroyed by violence. Now that he had found the suspected logical chain, the next thing he had to do was to verify his conjecture. There are many long passages here, each one at least hundreds of meters long. Soon he came to the end of the passage and saw an open area. The open area will be connected to 4 or 5 different passages. This was a complex underground maze, and Lin Yi felt something was wrong after just walking through a few passages. A new problem has arisen. This underground maze is huge beyond imagination. Is this really something that can be produced by a strange event, independent of the Earth's time and space? According to my observations of the true life path, there is no supernatural power in the space and time where Blue Star is located. Everything is made of the most basic particles. There is no trace of any supernatural energy at all. But now this infinite maze-like place obviously does not conform to normal physical laws. Is this a high-dimensional space? Can the power of ghost stories affect this level? Change reality. But considering that the true destiny can also ignore the physical laws of the blue planet to a certain extent, the ghost stories may not be impossible. Thinking of this, a lot of thoughts flashed in his eyes, all kinds of different possibilities. Slightly opening the light of the true destiny solution, he needed to find the existence of the clown before he could conduct the next verification observation. In the light of the true destiny solution, nothing can be hidden. This wonderful huge passage also revealed some traces in his eyes. Countless black lines constitute this mysterious passage maze, which seems to be part of the ghost story. Lin Yi also found a problem. So that's the case, now my logic chain has one more piece of evidence. Soon he found the location of the clown, narrowed his eyes slightly, turned off the effect of the true destiny, and continued to move forward, walking in the direction of the clown. Finally, after about 30 minutes, Lin Yi walked at least several thousand meters and adjusted his direction several times before he finally came to a huge empty place. This was an empty cave with an area of at least several hundred square meters, and there were more than a dozen different passages connected to the 4 sides of the cave. At this time, in the center of the cave, 3 people were lying on the ground, but there was no clown around, and he seemed to have left here. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1192. Lin Yi's eyes fell on the 3 people, all of them were teenagers around 17 or 18 years old. At this time, the faces of these teenagers were full of fear. They all fell into a coma, and the fear on their faces did not disappear because of the coma. On the contrary, they seemed to be having nightmares in their dreams. 10 minutes passed in a blink of an eye, and a light suddenly appeared on the top of the empty cave. A figure jumped down from above, holding a woman in revealing clothes in his hand. The one who jumped down was the clown, and he threw the woman to the ground like a rag. Then, his body disappeared like a phantom, without stopping at all. More than 10 minutes passed in a blink of an eye. The clown quickly caught some people back, and these people were thrown to the ground without exception. He was like a tireless hunting machine, catching prey one after another. At this time, Lin Yi kept watching him, hiding in the shadow of the passage, using the light of the true destiny solution to observe. The picture and content he saw surprised him a little. When the clown caught a prey and sent them here, he found that the clown seemed to become pure. The original clown was composed of countless black lines. But with the arrival of the prey, the lines that made up his body were being replaced. It can even be clearly seen that the lines derived from these prey have become the main body of his body. Finally, after a few hours, the clown has caught 10 prey. A large number of black lines extended from these prey, which have completely replaced the original black lines on his body. At this time, the clown seemed to be composed of the lines extending from these 10 people. At this time, the 9 unconscious people in front, along with the arrival of the 10th prey, also began to wake up one after another. The clown stood in a shadow passage, quietly watching the 10 awakened prey. A twisted smile rose on its face, as if waiting for something. The 10 people who were caught were both men and women, including 7 men and 3 women. A strong black man showed a trace of fear on his face. This is the clown, the lair of the clown legend. Oh no, we've been caught by the clown. Fear instantly filled everyone's heart. They looked at each other, and then the black man turned around and ran, rushing towards a passage. Others also woke up as if from a dream. Run, run, only by leaving here can you survive. Many of them have heard the legend about the clown. At this time, Lin Yi keenly observed something. The moment these people felt fear, there was a fear emotion that merged into the clown's body along the black line. The clown's body changed rapidly, expanding slightly. Sure enough, he expanded by absorbing fear. Then if you want to kill him, you have to do the opposite and make him feel fear. Other people's fear makes him expand, and his own fear makes him shrink. At this time, the clown rushed out instantly when these people expressed fear, and a hideous smile appeared on his face. He he he. Shhhh. Strange cries sounded, constantly echoing in the ears of these people. The clown was very fast, and in an instant he surpassed these ordinary humans. At this time, the clown was rushing towards a woman, with a ferocious smile flashing, and his right hand was grabbing the woman's head. The woman was about to be pierced through the head. At this time, a figure shrank into an inch and appeared behind him in an instant. The power of the true source of life flashed in Lin Yi's hand. A palm slapped the back of the clown's head. Bang! A violent sound sounded in an instant. The clown was knocked to the ground directly, and the power of the true source of life flashed on the back of his head, and his head was quickly petrified. At the same time, Lin Yi jumped over, grabbed the woman running in front, and flashed to a safe place. At this time, the woman was still in shock and screamed. Ah! She had no idea what happened, she just felt like she was flying up like a cloud. At this moment, Lin Yi's voice rang in her ears. Don't scream, or I'll throw you out if you do that again. The woman was a 17-year-old girl with long golden hair and beautiful facial features. After hearing Lin Yi's words, she immediately stopped talking and looked at him with horror. Lin Yi looked at the clown and said to the girl, Look, is that the clown? The girl looked at the clown following Lin Yi's hand. The clown stood up from the ground at this time, and his head had turned into stone. The clown stretched out his hands and instantly broke his head off. Then his neck began to grow ahead. In Lin Yi's eyes, there were 10 black lines that were growing slowly. The source of the power of growth came from the fear that permeated the 10 lines. Lin Yi's voice rang in the girl's ears, the clown is made up of your fear. The more you fear him, the more he can get power from your fear and become immortal. So you don't need to fear him, I will protect you. Lin Yi's voice was full of a bit of confusing power, and he was using his magnetic field to affect the girl's body. Calm the girl's body state of fear. When the girl heard Lin Yi's words, she felt her body begin to calm down, and the original fear seemed to disappear. They felt that the beating of their hearts was recovering rapidly, and it seemed that they were no longer afraid of the clown. Without the supply of fear, Lin Yi keenly discovered that the growth of the clown's head slowed down. A faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, sure enough, just as I thought. Then the next step is to solve the problem. With his eyes narrowed slightly, Lin Yi instantly picked up the girl and chased in the direction where the other people disappeared. He was very fast, and he could run more than 10 meters with just 1 foot, and his body was extremely sensitive. He could capture all kinds of information left in the air at any time, and those people could not escape his pursuit at all. In just 3 minutes, he caught up with the 2 running men. Lin Yi appeared in front of them with the girl in his hand, and a strong magnetic field permeated his body, instantly affecting the 2. A confusing voice sounded in their ears. The clown is not scary. As long as you are not afraid of him, He can't hurt you. From now on, follow me and don't leave. The two black men completely lost themselves under the magnetic force of Lin Yi. Their eyes were confused for a while, and then they quickly lost their fear and followed Lin Yi. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1193. The latest chapter of the Wanchaiwu I Created is updated the fastest. Because of the three burdens, Lin Yi's search speed slowed down. However, in the empty cave at this time, the clown who was recovering his head was also in trouble. As the three lines lost the source of fear, the clown's head recovered more slowly. So far, it has only recovered to the position of the mouth. The clown waved his claws like crazy, destroying everything around him, as if venting his anger. At this time, Lin Yi found two girls who escaped again. The same method was also affected by his power. However, this delayed a few minutes, and the clown had grown eyes again, leaving only the skull. After growing eyes, the clown did not stay in place, but rushed to a passage like crazy. This is his home court, and he rushed quickly in the passage like a mad dog, searching for all suspicious targets. Soon two white people appeared in front of him. A hideous smile appeared on his face, and he flashed behind them. The bone blade and the horny claws pierced their heads directly, leading them to death. There was no hesitation, only cruel determination. The next moment, the fear of the two people's death surged into his body like a tide. The clown's missing head quickly returned to its original state. His body also expanded by January 3rd in a short period of time, turning into a monster as tall as 3 meters. His speed became faster and stronger, and he shuttled madly in the passage. At this time, Lin Yi had found two fleeing men again. Following the same pattern, they also became Lin Yi's captives. At this time, the clown also killed a person again and turned into a monster as tall as 3.5 meters. Lin Yi looked at the 7 people following him behind him, and he stood quietly in a passage waiting. It was the limit to include 7 people in a short period of time. He estimated that the clown had almost recovered, and maybe the other 3 had been killed. At this time, he was recovering, waiting for the outbreak of this decisive battle. Bang bang bang. Huge collisions and vibrations came from a distance. A giant monster walked towards here, and the clown's eyes were full of bloodshot, full of anger and resentment. Looking at Lin Yi and the 7 people behind him, the clown was almost crazy. Kill you, kill you. Ah! Boom! The clown started a sprint, like a tank, rushing towards Lin Yi. At this time, the 7 people behind Lin Yi had all tightly grasped Lin Yi's back. The clown was like a huge shadow, instantly submerging Lin Yi and the 7 people. The huge force exploded on the ground, the soil flew, and there was chaos everywhere. But something happened that shocked the clown. Lin Yi and the 7 people behind him were still standing there, his claws and blades penetrated their bodies. But it did not cause any harm. It was as if they did not exist at all. Lin Yi showed a strange smile on his face. Lake Vic, you are such a coward. The clown seemed to be stimulated by something, retreated with horror, and looked at Lin Yi as if he was looking at a monster. It didn't notice that his body had shrunk in an instant without him noticing. You are a coward who only knows how to kill young people and the weak. Are you a waste who only knows how to play the clown to earn a meager salary? Are you a loser who only has today and no tomorrow? Even if you become a monster, you are still weak and ignorant. You can only bully the weak, you will always be a loser. Reykjavik, you are really embarrassing the Slavic nation. You can only bully the weak and despicable. You are really a complete coward. At this time, it was not just Lin Yi who was talking. Even the 7 people behind Lin Yi who were influenced by him were roaring angrily. You are a coward, a coward. You only dare to kill young people. Why don't you dare to resist those adults who laugh at you? You are a waste who bullies the weak and fears the strong. Lin Yi and the 7 figures behind him walked towards the clown with great oppression. They moved forward slowly, but inexplicably there was an increasingly powerful momentum. This is Lin Yi using his own magnetic field to combine with the magnetic fields of the other 7 people. The huge field formed makes them look huge and exudes a powerful feeling. At this time, the clown fell into a panic memory and loss after being called by Lin Yi. At the same time, there was a fear in the deepest part of his memory. The scene of being laughed at by countless people embarrassed him, frightened him, and made him cowardly. He felt as if he had returned to that day, with endless pain enveloping him, and his body was shrinking at an alarming speed. Every second, his body seemed to shrink. By January 10th, and Lin Yi and the 7 boys and girls in his eyes would become taller. No, I'm not a coward. Why do you humiliate me and mock me? At this time, the clown was completely in chaos, and crazy anger burned in his heart, suppressing the fear to a certain extent. I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you. Ah! He howled wildly and rushed towards Lin Yi. But Lin Yi had been waiting for him. Seeing him move, Lin Yi also rushed towards the clown like a tiger, with both hands emitting the power of the true source of life. In an instant, his 2 hands hit the clown's waving hands. The clown, who had not practiced martial arts, relied entirely on his powerful strength and speed to attack. But this attack was instantly resolved by Lin Yi, and at the same time, his 2 palms were printed on his chest. The clown flew out like a rag and fell directly to the ground. Lin Yi's voice sounded again. You are a weakling, you are a fool, a coward, you should be insulted, you should be humiliated, how dare you stand up, you should die. Lin Yi's words at this time seemed to contain infinite power, the power of the true source of life, and rushed into the clown's ears along with his words. This is the power of language, which seems to have shaken the clown's heart. His body shrank at a speed visible to the naked eye, and in the blink of an eye it shrank by half, and the whole body was only half a meter in size. As the military strategy says, the first attack is the best, the second is weaker, and the third is the worst. The first time, Lin Yi smashed the clown's head in an empty space in the maze, which put a huge pressure on him. The second time, the clown's full-strength attack had no effect on Lin Yi, and Lin Yi called out his name again, and he fell into a trance. The third time, the clown was so angry that he wanted to use violence to deal with Lin Yi and the others, but Lin Yi interrupted his resistance, and coupled with the verbal attack, he completely collapsed. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1194. Lin Yi's words shook his heart, and the clown completely collapsed. No, no, I'm not a coward, not a weakling, I'm a strong man. They deserve to die, it's all their fault. The clown was completely crazy at this time, he was completely lost in talking to himself and doubting himself. Fear filled his heart, and he had completely knelt on the ground, like a worm, hugging his knees. He looked so lonely and scared, and also so weak. Lin Yi's eyes showed a slight regret. This is a person who has been bullied, although he finally turned into a monster and took revenge. But his essence has not changed. When he has absolute power, he is a strong man. But when he has no power, he will turn back into the cowardly clown. The clown's body has shrunk to less than the size of a palm. At the same time, the power of the true source of life spread from the clown, instantly covering his whole body. The clown finally turned into a palm-sized stone statue, and there was no evil fluctuation anymore. Lin Yi walked over and stepped on it. The stone statue collapsed under the huge force and turned into powder. The clown seemed to disappear at this moment. And where he was broken, a dense light slowly appeared. It was still a light whose color could not be determined. Lin Yi bent down and grabbed it. This light instantly flowed into the depths of his heart. At the same time, the underground holes around him began to change. The hole was shaking violently, and countless cracks appeared in a short time, and it seemed that it would collapse at any time. Lin Yi turned around and grabbed the 7 people behind him. Under Lin Yi's control, they also grabbed Lin Yi at the same time. The power of true destiny flashed, and Lin Yi took them up and rushed to the top of the passage. The next moment, they seemed to pass through a layer of wonderful barrier and appeared in a dark alley. They had left the underground maze of the ghost story incident. As for the maze itself, it was very likely to have collapsed. Lin Yi looked in the direction they came out and saw nothing. At this time, Lin Yi took out a communicator from his arms. "Hey, come and pick me up, the matter here has been resolved. There are still 7 survivors." On the other side of the communicator was Zhao Hongxia, who immediately said in a deep voice after hearing Lin Yi's news, "We will definitely be there in 10 minutes. In just 10 minutes, several jeeps had quickly arrived outside the alley. A group of people rushed down, and they quickly locked onto Lin Yi and the 7 unconscious people next to him. Lin Yi naturally would not let these people wake up, and sleeping was the best solution. Zhao Hongxia came to him in a combat uniform and said solemnly, "Let's go." 20 minutes later, they returned to the headquarters of the Abnormal Events Investigation Bureau in Xuanhuan, but the 7 captured survivors had been placed elsewhere. In the conference room, Zhao Hongxia and Paul Wu looked at Lin Yi. "Can you tell me the details?" Lin Yi looked at Zhao Hongxia and smiled slightly. "This is confidential information, and it must be exchanged with equivalent information." "Okay, I will apply to the higher UPS after I go back. After we get the reward you want, we will make the exchange." "Of course, no problem." The discussion ended here. Zhao Hongxia began to arrange the procedure for their departure. An hour later, at the airport in Strandan, Lin Yi and Zhao Hongxia boarded a passenger plane and flew to China. On the plane, the 2 of them were still sitting in the first-class cabin. The service here was naturally very good, and now there were only 2 of them here. No words along the way, just calmly heading towards China. However, just as they were flying over the sea, a large plane appeared above them. The plane was all black and looked very special. The exterior was a triangle, and it looked very technological. At this time, 3 people appeared inside the plane. These 3 people were different, all wearing combat uniforms. One of them looked like a teenager of 18 or 19 years old, one was a middle-aged man of about 30 years old, and the other was a young man in his 20s. They were all filled with an inexplicable coldness, as if they were some kind of killing machine. The middle-aged man said slowly, "According to our latest news, there is a mysterious person named Lin Yi on the plane. This person is very powerful. According to our insider information, he defeated the entire team led by Zhao Hongxia alone. We have conducted a targeted investigation on him. He has at least 3 God-given abilities at the same time. This time, the regiment mobilized the 3 of us to find a way to capture this person. The regiment leader seems to have a big idea about him. What does he want to get from him? It's up to us next. We only have one chance, the time is 3 minutes, and we will retreat immediately if we fail. The plan is as follows." The middle-aged man said this in a low voice, and the teenager and the young man nodded slowly. The 2 planes had already arrived over the Pacific Ocean, and the middle-aged man's voice slowly sounded. "Start now." The next moment, a wave enveloped him, and instantly connected to the young man and the boy. The 3 of them flashed and disappeared in the plane in an instant. When they appeared again, they were already in the passenger plane. The sudden appearance of the 3 people immediately caused countless people in the passenger plane to exclaim, "What's going on? Someone suddenly appeared. Special power. Superhero." Countless roars continued to sound, and everyone was boiling. But at this moment, a strange wave spread from the young man's body. Wherever he passed, everyone lost consciousness in an instant, and then lost the ability to move in the seat. They quickly went in the direction of the first-class cabin, and the wave in the cabin only existed for a moment and disappeared. But Lin Yi in the first-class cabin still noticed the movement. It seems that trouble is coming. Zhao Hongxia narrowed her eyes and stood up from her seat. She raised her hand to open the luggage compartment above her head and took out a strange gun from the backpack inside. This gun is different from ordinary guns. The gun body is about half a meter long, with two cylindrical objects on the top, which looks weird. Zhao Hongxia retreated to the end of the VIP cabin, half knelt in the aisle, and aimed the gun at the door connecting the ordinary cabin and the VIP cabin. The flight attendant in the VIP cabin was already looking at her with horror. Lin Yi looked at Zhao Hongxia's reaction. "Do you know the person who came?" Seeing Lin Yi's indifferent look, Zhao Hongxia remained calm. "The House of Everything I Created." Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1195. Update the latest chapter of the Wanchai View I created as soon as possible. Zhao Hongxia said in a low voice, "The people here are from the Doomsday cult. They take pleasure in destroying the world and believe that all strange incidents are signs of the end and the world's punishment for dirty humans. They are natural enemies of our Abnormal Events Investigation Bureau. You should also be prepared, their target is most likely you." Lin Yi smiled slightly. "It doesn't matter, I also want to meet someone who can make you feel like you are facing a powerful enemy." At this time, Zhao Hongxia looked at the flight attendant next to her, and an inexplicable fluctuation passed by. The flight attendant seemed to have lost her soul. She fell to the ground and lost consciousness. Lin Yi jumped easily and came to the seat next to Zhao Hongxia. He looked in the direction of the passage with a little interest, where several people were approaching. He did not use the power of his true life, but simply relied on his own induction of the magnetic field. The entire world can be observed using magnetic fields in his eyes. Every existence has a magnetic field, but the size is different. He could feel that the three people had arrived at the gate, and the light of true destiny flashed in their eyes. In an instant, he saw the true faces of these three people, and at the same time, he also noticed that in the deepest part of their consciousness, the three true lives flickered in them. His voice rang in Zhao Hongxia's ears, "Here we come, all three of them hold real lives. The people on the passenger plane outside have lost consciousness and fallen into a deep sleep. One of them should have spiritual power. Secondly, all three of them suddenly appeared on the plane. It can be judged that one of them has at least the same ability as teleportation, and can carry multiple people to move. The last person has never shown any strength, so we can't judge." Lin Yi easily deduced a lot of information. Zhao Hongxia on the side felt calm when she heard this and nodded slightly. "Good. You have to be careful, they are coming for you. You can move across space at will. I'm afraid it's to block your movement speed. With the ability to control the conscious mind, what you are currently exposed to is the power of external physical properties, and you have not exposed the power of the spiritual level, so they are targeting you. But they don't know that you have resisted my mental control. So we can judge a problem. The abilities you exposed should be the ones we had the last time we fought. And all the processes of my interrogation of you were not revealed, so no one can judge that you have the ability to resist psychic and mental resistance. That is to say, among the people who surrounded you last time, there were spies arranged by them. Then the remaining one who hasn't taken action yet may be the most troublesome guy. He will be very dangerous if he doesn't know his abilities. My ability has been exposed a long time ago. The person who can control consciousness should also be trying to deal with me. The last person should be the killer, and the goal should be to take you down completely." After hearing Zhao Hongxia's analysis, Lin Yi narrowed his eyes slightly and said, "These people are really prepared. Get ready. Don't show mercy when you attack later. Of course, it's best to leave one alive. If you want to take action, you have to go all out and don't give them any chance. If my guess is correct, I will adhere to the principle of destruction if you don't get it. Once they fail their mission, they might destroy the entire aircraft. The danger that awaits us then will be very dangerous. Lin Yi's brows jumped when he heard this. So dangerous. The doomsday cult is just more dangerous than we think. But for a person with the ability to move in space, his movement range will not exceed 10 kilometers. His name is Jumper Joan, and he is also a relatively famous figure in the doomsday cult. So, there should be their planes nearby. Lin Yi was surprised when he heard this. They still have planes. Seeing Lin Yi's surprised look, Zhao Hengxia smiled coldly. Shock me, these people from the doomsday cult have deep financial resources behind them. I don't know how many wealthy people and financial groups are under their control. They are the destroyers of the world order. Lin Yi was thoughtful when he heard this. Well, it seems there are still many things on Blue Star that I don't know. Taking a deep breath, there was a trace of thought in his eyes. At this time, 3 voices stopped outside the door of the VIP cabin. The next moment, the door to the VIP cabin disappeared in a strange wave. Jumper Qiaoan and 2 others appeared in front of Lin Yi and Zhao Hengxia. Zhao Hengxia said with cold eyes, "Jumper Qiaoan, how dare you appear in front of us?" Jumping Qiaoan glanced at Zhao Hengxia indifferently. "Zhao Hengxia, the mind controller. Your name is like thunder, and I don't know how many people have died at your hands. This time you don't even think about going back alive." Zhao Hengxia smiled coldly. "It's just you." Jumper Qiaoan looked at Lin Yi and said, "Hello, Mr. Lin Yi, nice to meet you. I wonder if you are interested in joining our doomsday cult. We are an organization that is not inferior to the Abnormal Events Investigation Bureau. We are backed by the world's top power groups, consortiums, and elites. As long as you join us, all your wishes can be fulfilled. How about it, Mr. Lin Yi, would you consider it?" Lin Yi looked at the Jumper Qiaoan calmly, and another thought flashed through his mind. I wonder if the true destiny in their hearts can be picked out. If it is possible, what can these true destinies be used for? Jumper Qiaoan had no idea what K Lan was thinking. A faint smile appeared on the corner of Lin Yi's mouth. Cooperation is fine, but joining is fine. I never join any organization, and no organization is qualified for me to join. Hearing Lin Yi's words, Jumper Qiaoan showed a trace of regret on his face. This is really a pity. I didn't expect Mr. Lin Yi to be such an arrogant person. Jumper Qiaoan, regretful and with a hint of ridicule. Then we can only use force. As soon as the voice fell, the young man next to him had already taken action. An inexplicable wave spread to the entire VIP cabin, which was a power that could control people's hearts and spirits. Facing the boy's attack, the mind controller Zhao Hengxia's face turned cold and she immediately fought back. A wave of the same nature spread out from her body and collided with the opponent's wave. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1196. The fluctuations at the 2 spiritual levels impacted heavily, and even formed a twisted feeling, covering the entire VIP cabin. Everyone felt tremendous pressure, and their spirits and hearts seemed to be flashing like a violent storm, making them all shaken. Lin Yi looked calm at this time, and I was not affected in any way. Explorer Qiaoan and another young man both felt pressure under this power. He involuntarily took a few steps back to avoid the impact of this mental and will fluctuation. In Lin Yi's eyes, these 2 forces involving consciousness, soul, and heart were colliding with each other crazily. Every impact will splash endless invisible sparks, exploding in the VIP cabin like dynamite. But this power cannot affect any matter, it can only affect the spirit, soul, etc. of living organisms. At this time, his eyes passed over the young man and fell on the young man. In the young man's body, the real life was slowly emitting a wave of fluctuations, and a brand new attack was brewing. What will be his true power? It is impossible to understand the true destiny until it can be applied to its extreme. True destiny is an extremely complex thing, and even the interpretation of true destiny requires long-term and continuous observation to be able to see the secrets. However, he was fully prepared. At this moment, a terrifying attack broke out directly. A gray radiance swelled out from the young man's body. In an instant, the entire plane was enveloped. Everything is decomposing into its most basic particles. Lin Yi noticed its effect the moment the power exploded. In one step, she arrived in front of Zhao Hongxia, and the power of true destiny and perseverance was activated at the same time. The next moment, it turned into a stream of light and rushed out of the range enveloped by gray light. Everyone else on the original plane, including the plane itself, was wiped out in an instant. Joan, the leaper, has caught the young with both hands. The young man's voice rang quickly, the two of them escaped. My powers did them no harm. Hearing this, Jumper Qiaoan's expression changed, his body flashed, and he had already brought the young man and the teenager back to their own plane. Then, Jumper Qiaoan flashed again, and when he appeared, he was already in front of Lin Yi and Zhao Hongxia. At this time, the two of them were falling with gravity, and the Jumper Qiaoan looked at the two of them and said calmly, Mr. Lin Yi, how are you? Do you want to join us? If it falls so straight, I'm afraid it will shatter into pieces. As long as you agree to join us, I can save you and leave. Lin Yi looked at Jumper Qiaoan, sighed slightly and said, Your methods are really too rough. It's not to mention rough. The original plan was to destroy your limbs and make you completely disabled. Even if you have the ability, you won't be able to use it. But I didn't expect Mr. Lin Yi to be so smart and get rid of our attack in an instant. And even psychic attacks can't affect you. The essence of primary colors cannot harm you. You are more terrifying and dangerous than we imagined. Actually, we have miscalculated. Now you have the ability to land safely. After all, you can walk in the void. Lin Yi smiled and said, Since you know, then you still threaten me. Jumper Joan smiled lightly, This is just a small trial. If you can't even pass this temptation, you have no right to be threatened by us. How about it, Mr. Lin Yi, do you want to consider joining us again? You are quite powerful. If you leave it alone, you will be a huge threat to us. This little trial can be taken as a warning. Next time, it will be even more dangerous, and you won't have any chance again. Seeing Jumper Qiaoan's solemn eyes and face, Lin Yi smiled slightly. Actually, I'm looking forward to your next attempt. You're welcome to come anytime. By the way, I don't mind if we cooperate. I opened a Wanchaiwa cafe in Furong City. In addition to normal business, you can also take on other jobs, but the prerequisite is that you have to pay enough. You can even set up traps and entrust me to step on them. I can accept all of this, as long as your reward is enough. Listening to Lin Yi's calm words, Jumper Qiaoan's face became a little confused, his muscles twitched slightly, and his face showed a trace of solemnity. He took a deep look at Lin Yi and Zhao Hongxia who were falling. Zhao Hongxia's face is still calm. Her power can not only control other people's emotions, but also control her own emotions, keeping herself in a calm state forever. Even though she was falling from a high altitude, she still had no fear in her heart. She just listened to Lin Yi's words quietly without any interruption or rebuttal. At the same time, he looked at Jumper Joan calmly. Qiaoan felt uneasy as she was stared at by Lin Yi's half-smiling eyes and Zhao Hongxia's cold eyes. As if he is the clown. His expression became more and more indifferent, I hope Mr. Lin will not regret his stupid choice in the future. Lin Yi said calmly, there is nothing in this world that can make me regret. Jumper Qiaoan's eyes flashed, snorted coldly, and disappeared here in the next moment. When he appeared again, he was back on the plane. His face was gloomy, and he directly pressed a button on the plane. Prepare to return, mission failed. Yes, a low voice came from the opposite side. The black mysterious plane slowly turned and disappeared here. Lin Yi and Zhao Hongxia had fallen less than a kilometer away from the sea surface at this time. The huge air resistance made their speed reach a limit. Zhao Hongxia turned her head and looked at Lin Yi, do you have a way to land safely? Lin Yi smiled faintly, of course no problem. The power of Zhenming Wujiang flashed in an instant, and the two fell into the sea like a phantom. Their fall did not stir up any waves, and the next moment, the two drilled out of the sea surface. Lin Yi stood calmly on the sea, his feet on the water only reaching his knees. He relied on his own magnetic field, leg strength, and the buoyancy of the sea to stand in the sea, but it consumed physical strength. Seeing Lin Yi standing on the sea, Zhao Hongxia, who was soaking in the water, had a look of surprise on her face. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1197. The latest chapter of the Wanchai I Created is updated the fastest. Is this another new ability of yours? Or is it your ability to stay in the sky? Every action of Lin Yi will bring her a huge shock and a new feeling. This is a person full of mystery. Lin Yi took a deep breath and looked at her. This is not a wonderful ability, it's just an ordinary martial arts. Martial arts, do you mean traditional martial arts? That seems to be false, right? We have also studied this thing before, according to all our research results. The essence of traditional martial arts is actually related to innate conditions. A special training method. Through special training of various parts of the body from childhood, damaged muscles and bones are strengthened due to biological instincts. For example, the legendary iron shirt is to continuously destroy bone cells and muscle cells, and then soak them in drugs during the regeneration process, so that the regrown tissue becomes harder. Rather than strengthening the body, it is better to say that it is overdrawing and consuming. Therefore, in ancient times, people would hurt themselves by practicing boxing and it would be difficult to live long. Some extreme iron sand palms can also cause lung disease due to inhaling a lot of dust. Only those boxers who are really good at keeping healthy can live well to old age. But when they die, I heard that because of overdrawing in their early years, their bodies are deformed to a certain extent, which will be very painful. Traditional martial arts itself is not magical. We have analyzed it all with scientific methods. Is this what you are talking about? Facing Zhao Hongxia's question, Lin Yi smiled faintly. Martial arts is indeed this thing, but it needs to be more systematic and refined. It is the martial arts after my derivation and perfection. The ones circulating in the world now, as well as those in ancient times, do not have a truly perfect system. Each family has flaws and tricks, which ultimately leads to no one being able to break through to the highest realm of martial arts. Hearing Lin Yi's words, Zhao Hongxia's eyes showed a hint of interest. What is the highest realm? Is it really like the legend says, immortality, eternal youth, or flying? Lin Yi rolled his eyes at her. You've read too many novels. The highest realm is that the whole body is perfect and all body structures are integrated by oneself. Perfect martial arts can integrate all of one's own life magnetic fields into a large magnetic field. For example, the atoms and molecules that make up human cells have their own magnetic fields, but these magnetic fields are large and small, and they repel and attract each other, and cannot be integrated at all. And the ultimate state of martial arts is to perfectly integrate the magnetic fields of the materials that make up one's own body, without wasting a single magnetic field. The large magnetic field formed can interfere with the magnetic fields of other substances and living organisms. Magnetic fields are the most essential phenomenon possessed by everything in this world. And the highest realm of martial arts is to master this most essential phenomenon, and then use this phenomenon to destroy everything that stands in my way. But this power is useless for ghost stories. Hearing this, Zhao Hongxia was stunned. She originally thought that if this power was so magical, it might have an effect on strange events. But she didn't expect it to be useless. Have you tried it? Lin Yi glanced at Zhao Hongxia. Of course I have tried it, just like the iron law you have experimented with before. Pure physical destruction, even energy destruction, has no effect on these strange events. When I was fighting with the clown, I punched him, but it had no effect. Zhao Hongxia frowned when she heard this. No, I clearly saw you hit him, and there were signs of petrification on his chest. He also dug out a stone from his chest, a stone that looked like a palm print. Lin Yi smiled. That's not the power of the magnetic field. Hearing this, Zhao Hongxia realized something instantly, narrowed her eyes, and looked at Lin Yi. You've hidden it too deeply. I really don't know how many secrets you have. Lin Yi smiled. Who doesn't have secrets in this world? But people who reveal all their secrets are usually meat on other people's chopping boards and can only be slaughtered by others. Let's not waste any more time. What should we do now? This is the sea, and our plane has been destroyed. Zhao Hongxia, who was soaking in the sea water, sighed helplessly. Wait for rescue. As he said that, he took out a button from his clothes. She pressed the button hard, and the button began to change. After opening it, it quickly split and quickly turned into a strange machine, extending a 10-centimeter long thin antenna. At the same time, an illusory keyboard and screen were projected on the machine. Zhao Hongxia held up the small machine with her left hand, looking at Lin Yi and said, "Help me, I need help." Lin Yi nodded, bent down and grabbed her right arm, and directly lifted her out of the water. At this time, Lin Yi's legs also sank halfway, submerged to his waist. However, the upper bodies of both of them were exposed above the water. Zhao Hongxia quickly started typing on the illusory keyboard with her left hand, and lines of text were typed out on the illusory small screen in front of her. Other words soon appeared on the opposite side. The rescue coordinates have been confirmed. Rescue will arrive within 30 minutes. Please wait with peace of mind. After doing all this, Zhao Hongxia lightly tapped the keyboard with her right hand, and the mysterious little machine began to shrink again and return to the shape of a button. She put the buttons back on her clothes and breathed a sigh of relief. Okay, the Anomaly Investigation Bureau closest to us will send people to rescue us soon. Lin Yi shook his head helplessly. I hope, if they don't come, we will have to swim back. I'm fine, but I'm afraid you won't be able to hold on. Zhao Hongxia shook her head when she heard this and said, Don't worry, the Abnormal Event Investigation Bureau has offices all over the world. It is a truly global organization and is officially supported by various countries. Once something happens to us, we will mobilize as much strength as possible to come to support us. Especially since I, as a God-given person, have a lot of privileges. Furthermore, your identity is also very special. Now many people in the Abnormal Event Investigation Bureau already know your existence. This time you have eliminated another strange incident, and I don't know how many people will pay attention to it. So don't worry. Lin Yi shrugged indifferently. At this time, he had put down Zhao Hongxia again. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1198. The two looked around in the cloudless sea, and there were endless sea fog and clouds everywhere. This is the real deep sea area. Only some ocean cruise ships can sail here, but compared with the entire sea, their location is still close to the coastline. Because there are no traces of humans in the real deep ocean. The reason is actually very simple. The climate of the deep ocean is complex and changeable. With the current technology of human beings, it is impossible to stay there for a long time. Perhaps a sudden storm will sink countless cruise ships in that area. Including airplanes, they may also encounter countless extreme weather in the real deep sea area. Therefore, most cruise ships and airplanes try to get close to the coastline, not a perfect straight line distance. A straight line from one place to another. Time always passes quickly, but in just 10 minutes, a huge dark cloud in the distance quickly expanded towards here. The calm sea surface began to fluctuate violently, and Zhao Hongxia's face changed slightly. No, it's a storm. This is bad. Seeing this huge storm, Lin Yi's face became slightly solemn. He frowned, and the light of the true destiny flashed in his eyes. He looked at the ocean and soon saw the target. In the ocean 1,000 meters below, he saw a huge sperm whale. There was a hint of joy in his eyes. I have a way, you wait for me here, don't move casually. I will come back to you in a few minutes. Zhao Hongxia's face was solemn. Don't worry, I have learned to swim, and I am a first-level diver, I won't die for the time being. Lin Yi nodded silently, and the power of the boundless true destiny enveloped him. The next moment, his body turned over and went under the sea. In 2 seconds, he crossed a distance of 1,000 meters and came to the front of this sperm whale. The length of this whale reached an astonishing 25 meters, almost the largest sperm whale. Lin Yi slowly stretched out his hand and touched the sperm whale directly. His magnetic field began to quickly affect the sperm whale's magnetic field. Under the influence of the magnetic field, the sperm whale was quickly controlled by Lin Yi. Then, the sperm whale swung its huge tail and took him to the surface of the sea. About 5 minutes later, the sperm whale appeared on the sea, and Lin Yi stood on the top of the sperm whale. He looked at Zhao Hongxia floating on the sea. Let's go, let's hide in the mouth of this whale and let him take us away from the storm area. Zhao Hongxia looked at Lin Yi with a hint of surprise. She didn't expect that Lin Yi could actually control animals. This guy is really unfathomable. Countless thoughts flashed through his mind, and he quickly swam towards the sperm whale, who had opened his huge mouth. Lin Yi had also jumped off the top of the sperm whale. The two quickly swam into the mouth of the sperm whale, and the sperm whale slowly closed its mouth. There was a space of about several cubic meters inside, which was no problem for two people. And they curled up their bodies carefully, leaving as much space as possible. Don't squeeze the sperm whale's mouth. At this time, the sperm whale took a deep breath, and its mouth was filled with the air of the ocean. The sperm whale slowly closed its huge mouth, and Lin Yi closed his eyes slightly, and the magnetic field was connected with the sperm whale. His own magnetic field can not only affect life, but also sense many things through the magnetic field. For example, the huge magnetic field of the ocean and the magnetic field of the land are completely different. Through this change in the magnetic field, he can even identify the direction and sense some existence far away. Because the magnetic field emitted by those behemoths is very majestic, basically covering the entire Earth. He controlled the sperm whale and quickly moved towards the magnetic field in the direction of the land. At this time, the storm outside had suddenly come. The sea surface was shaking violently, and the huge waves were rolling, which was extremely terrifying. Sperm whales almost always swim in an area of several dozen meters underwater, and they will go to the surface of the sea to change air every 5 minutes, especially their mouths will breathe again. Lin Yi and Zhao Hongxia will breathe carefully, trying to ensure the concentration of air. 40 or 50 minutes passed in a blink of an eye, and the storm outside continued, covering a huge ocean area of hundreds of kilometers. At this time, they had just left the storm area, and were about 100 kilometers away from the coast. The sperm whale was still swimming slowly, but it had floated to the surface of the sea. After leaving the storm, Lin Yi and Zhao Hongxia no longer had to curl up in the sperm whale's mouth. A few dozen minutes later, they came to an area less than 10 kilometers away from the coastline. A rocky coast can be seen here. Lin Yi grabbed Zhao Hongxia, and the two rushed out like a stream of light, and when they fell again, they had already reached the shore. Lin Yi sat on the ground with a slightly tired look on his face. It was not so simple to use the life magnetic field to control the sperm whale, such a huge creature. He needs to constantly control the sperm whale's consciousness, otherwise, the other party's huge life magnetic field will gradually wear out the influence of his magnetic field. The influence of the magnetic field is mutual and non-permanent. At this time, Zhao Hongxia also breathed a sigh of relief. She originally thought that she might be buried in the storm. She didn't expect Lin Yi to be so powerful. In such a desperate situation, he could easily find a way to escape. She had already risen a little admiration in her heart. This man is really amazing. Ignoring any attacks, he can fly into the sky and hide in the ground, and he can dig materials at will, and even control life. He ignores the spiritual level of the God-given. He is simply all-round and has no dead angles. What is his origin? Zhao Hongxia's heart is getting more and more interested in Lin Yi. Maybe you want to send a message to the rescuers again. Zhao Hongxia nodded, took off her buttons again, and then sent a series of messages quickly. Time always passes quickly. In less than 10 minutes, a huge roar suddenly sounded in the sky. A helicopter was coming from a distance and soon stopped directly behind them. A white man in a black suit had jumped off the helicopter. He quickly came to Zhao Hongxia and said, "Hello, Chief Zhao Hongxia. I am Histon, a member of the Investigation Bureau in the City of England Mal. I'm here to take you to a safe place." Zhao Hongxia nodded slightly, and then they quickly left here and flew away on a helicopter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1199. Rumble. Amidst the sound of the helicopter's propellers turning, they quickly disappeared along the coastline. In the blink of an eye, 2 days later, Lin Yi stood at the gate of the airport, stopped a taxi at random, and headed towards the Wanchaiwa Cafe. They rested for a day in England and returned by plane on the second day. This time nothing dangerous happened on the way. Returned to Wanchaiwa View smoothly. Ring ring ring. The welcome bell rang slowly, and Brandy saw Lin Yi pushing the door open and entering. There was a hint of joy on his face. "Boss, are you back?" Lin Yi nodded and looked at the first floor. At least half of the seats are occupied, and business is pretty good, but most of them are female customers. All of them are dressed in fancy clothes, like urban beauties. Many people's eyes fell on Brandy. Lin Yi looked at Brandy and suddenly realized that Brandy himself was a handsome young man. In Lin Yi's eyes, Brandy's body was perfectly coordinated, and it was obvious that he had mastered his new body through his original state. The next step is to continuously strengthen his body so that he can achieve perfect integration and control the magnetic field. This change naturally has a strong appeal to ordinary people. Coupled with Brandy's good appearance, she can naturally attract many female customers. Lin Yi looked at him and said with a weird smile on his face, "Business is good." Brandy shrugged helplessly upon hearing this. "No way." "Okay, bring me a cup of black tea." After saying that, Lin Yi sat down in his exclusive seat, in front of the floor-to-ceiling window. There's no one to sit here, and Brandy won't let anyone sit here. Sitting here carelessly, the female guests on the first floor looked at him with displeasure in their eyes and frowned. Many people are aggrieved. Is he the owner of this store? Why are you talking to Brandy like that? He is so handsome and gentle, but the boss is so rude. It's really disgusting. How can such a person be the boss? Countless emotions of disgust flickered in the hearts of these women. Lin Yi immediately noticed his disgust for these people. A person's magnetic field will also change slightly according to his mood, which is as clear to him as objects under the sun. He shook his head slightly, with a hint of indifference on his face. These people are not worthy of his attention at all. Haha, humans are always so stupid, they can only see what they want to see on the surface. Being fooled by the glamorous appearance. Soon Brandy put a cup of fragrant black tea in front of him. Boss, how about going out this time? Not bad, the matter has been resolved. I plan to get them all out soon. Hearing this, Brandy showed a hint of joy on her face. That's great. I'm really a bit busy on my own. Lin Yi nodded slightly. It will be much more convenient for them to come out. The Wanqi house also needs to be renovated. It was late at night in a blink of an eye, and the Wanqiwu view was closed. Lin Yi was sitting on the second floor, and his thoughts had entered his mind. In his mind, in the all things room of his mind, several people appeared in front of Lin Yi. Sakuranomi Yashiri, vodka, absinthe, Laowei. At the same time, there are also whiskey and gin who were saved by him again, using the latest glory of the clown incident. At this point, everyone closest to him has woken up. The remaining lives are those that need to spend a long time and effort to save. The mysterious brilliance he got this time has been consumed by about 1/10. He is considering whether to use these radiances to increase the upper limit of the spiritual wave, or to revive the eternal nature. After thinking for a while, he used 2/3 of the radiance to increase the upper limit of the spiritual wave. The remaining 1/3 was used to revive the eternal nature, and a total of about 1000 eternal qualities were revived. The mysterious radiance he received this time was much stronger than the human-skinned granny. And the harvest is also very rich. Basically, his upper limit of spiritual waves has approximately doubled compared to when he first returned to Blue Star. With 1000 eternal qualities, he can also start to truly study the seventh true life. This is destined to be a long process that takes time to accumulate, but fortunately Blue Star is very peaceful and he can live here almost forever. In a few days I will create a brand new body for you, so get ready. The results of the clown incident have been digested. The next half-month was very peaceful and nothing happened. Lin Yi has once again created the bodies of Sakura Gong Shirley and others. They are all reborn in this world. And today he was going to start doing something completely new. It's late at night in the Wanqiwu house. The Wanqiwu view in the state of mind slowly appeared here. The Wanqiwu view began to expand rapidly, and began to overlap with the shop he bought. Except for the underground place of marine life that has not yet revived, the entire house of everything has been completely rejuvenated. Weird powers also appeared. The essence of the house of everything is actually a strange power, which originally lost its activity in this world. But with the infusion of mysterious light, the activity of the strange power was awakened, allowing it to exist in this world. As early as more than half a month ago, he wanted to try to merge the Wanqiwu with the shops in this world through the corrosiveness of the strange power. But in the past half-month, he was busy making bodies for Sakuramiya Shirley and others, so he had not carried out this final fusion. It was finally released today, and Brandy and others were watching quietly. The spiritual state of Wanqiwu quickly turned into a dark strange power, which was merging with the new shop. Everything went smoothly, and the Wanqiwu cafe became a brand new strange thing. The basic structure of the entire Wanqiwu cafe has also changed. The strange power connects all the elementary particles, making everything in the cafe connected as a whole. The essence of the composition of matter has not changed, but the strange power has become the connecting link between these elementary particles. In general, there have been some changes in the Wanqiwu, but it is hard to say what the difference is. Under the Wanqiwu, the original huge underground maze has become a place of marine life. The land of marine life has not been awakened and is still in a spiritual state. Although it exists, it cannot be entered and cannot really appear in this world. It only exists in an illusory state. The first and second floors of the Eurozwia are still in the state of a cafe, but a mysterious third floor has appeared. This third floor is in another spatial level, overlapping with the space above the store where Linyi is located. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 1200. There is a layer of spatial isolation between the two. They cannot see each other, cannot touch the objects on the opposite side, and are on different levels of time and space. This is what he saw through observation and interpretation of the true life path. Although this world is composed of countless basic particles, it does have dimensions that are completely different from the four-dimensional space. It can't be called a high latitude, but it can't be called a low latitude either. It's more like a parallel overlapping space-time. The strange power seems to be able to directly touch this overlapping time and space. The third floor is the residential area. Brandy and the others regain their place to live. Feeling the changes in Wanchaiwu, Lin Yi's face showed a hint of joy. All kinds of weird things in the House of Everything are very active, and they seem to be rejuvenated in this world. I wonder if these weird items can exert supernatural powers like real life. Lin Yi felt a little hopeful, but even if the wish shrine can be used, what can I exchange for these ordinary people? They seem to have nothing worth exchanging except their lives and wealth. And the life in this world doesn't have anything like vitality or longevity. Everything is composed of elementary particles, the body of pure matter, the life born due to chemical principles, the brain born as a result, and the consciousness born in it. The most important thing is the true destiny in their consciousness. That seems to be the most precious thing for humans on Blue Star. Lin Yi's eyes showed a hint of interest. He accidentally discovered a problem a few days ago. That is, all humans on the Blue Star have a true destiny in the deepest part of their consciousness. He only discovered the problem when he accidentally observed ordinary people using the true life principle. Originally, he didn't care about ordinary people at all. Only people like Zhao Hongxia who had mastered the power of life would attract his attention. No one else is ever in his sight. A few days ago, it was because he was very bored and sat in the store watching the people passing by outside. The secret was discovered by accidental use of the ability of true life path interpretation. When he saw this secret, he was shocked and had no idea what was going on. He carefully observed all human beings, and found that the lowest level of true life was hidden in the deepest part of everyone's consciousness. At the highest level, he even saw 5 different true lives. This picture startled him, and he immediately realized the difference in Blue Star. This world seemed to have no levels of power, but it was not as simple as he imagined. If everyone in this world could use the power of true life, what will the world become? He couldn't imagine it. Each one has invincible power. It is as if the sky is shattering and the earth is shattering, and the sun and moon are without light. But something that surprised him was that almost everyone had no idea that they had real life. From Zhao Hongxia, he learned that people who can use their true names are called God-given ones. In other words, the power of true life is not something that can be awakened casually, but has a certain effect. Reminiscent of the true door that appeared in the past. If it is said that behind the true gate is the true land. And everyone on Blue Star has a true destiny, so we can draw conclusions from this. All humans on the Blue Star, their most essential will comes from a world like the void. I gathered my true life and passed the test of the true gate before I came to the Blue Star. Not everyone can awaken the power of true life. Even if they awaken the power of true life, they will not recall the memories of the past. All the true life level beings who come to Blue Star will live again. It's like reincarnation, cleansing away all memories of the past. But the strange thing is that ordinary people on Blue Star can only live to be less than 100 years old. Then death will follow. But it would be strange for a baby to be born with a real life. And in ancient times, the population on Blue Star was not large, only 1 billion. In modern times, the population has expanded by 7 billion, which means that billions of true life-level beings will continue to arrive within thousands of years. In such a short period of time, so many true life-level beings have integrated into the time and space where Blue Star is located. It's impossible no matter how you look at it. Then there are only a few conclusions that can be drawn. First, combine the legends of the East and the West. After death, there is a soul. Assuming that the soul is the real life. In Western religions, the soul enters Hades or heaven, which means that the true life will enter some strange time and space. And in the East, there are 18 levels of hell and 6 realms, and there will be reincarnation in the end. The Asan kingdom next to it is the source of Buddhism and the birthplace of the 6 paths of reincarnation. In other words, true life will always exist, existing in other time and space called underworld, heaven, Hades, and so on. As the population on Blue Star increases, these true beings will reappear in the world. And the number of true lives is far greater than the current population of the Earth, so it can be concluded that there are a lot of true lives that still exist in the space and time where Blue Star is located, but I can't find them. Maybe it's the mysterious higher dimensional space-time. It's like the spiritual level it once was. True life is immortal and will only continue to be reincarnated with the birth and death of human beings. But this brings up another question. What are ghost stories? Lin Yi's eyes showed a hint of strangeness. The existence of this ghost story is also very strange. Ghost stories, based on my current information, can be concluded that their existence is related to humans. It is related to these humans who have true destiny as the carrier of fundamental will. When they know these ghost stories, they know that this thing itself seems to bring power to the ghost story. Can it be understood that this power comes from true destiny and has the unsolvable nature of true destiny? The mysterious phenomenon that ultimately makes it impossible to be destroyed and can only be self-destruct through the logic chain. A possibility flashed through Lin Yi's mind, which is also the biggest possibility. Then the conclusion shows that everything is related to true destiny. He took a deep breath, and a trace of solemnity appeared in his eyes. It seems that it is not that simple to uncover the secrets of the entire Blue Star. There is too much missing information. At this time, he was sitting in front of the French window, with 3 reports and a document in front of him. This document is evaluated by the Abnormal Time Investigation Bureau. It contains some information about strange events and some popular related information. It is very detailed.